Well, cool. If you're down for it, I'm down to get going. Dave, thanks for coming on the show, coming to chat with
My
us.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
I thought that it would be cool to start off because you did tell me when you were booking this that you were opening the new spot. We got to talk about that a little bit before we hit record. Does it ever get easier opening a new spot? And you've done it a lot, so I'd assume, hopefully, but
That's an interesting question. No, no, it doesn't.
And the podcast is over. Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us
Yeah.
today. No, it's very interesting because they're very personal for me. The process. What has gotten easier is the financing of it. I guess just because we have, 10 properties now, it's not that difficult for us to get a new property open once we sort of decide that we're going to do it and decide on the direction. And I do have a group of business partners. They're not all the same, but I have several partners in each property. But I guess that what's gotten more difficult is the market in Detroit here has gotten extremely competitive. It's not Brooklyn, but we have places opening all the time. Every week I hear of a new place, and I'm like, where? I didn't even know where that place is. That's gotten more difficult. So that makes it every property a little bit more personal, and so I really want to make sure that we're going above and beyond when we're opening a place. And that has made it a little bit more challenging for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
I could see that. Because your first spot, as far as I understand, you kind of bet against conventional wisdom and kind of started the trend of like, oh, we can do this in Detroit. Like there's a clientele for this sort of high end cocktail bar, and I'm guessing you were successful enough that people have begun to replicate your success.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Sugar House was kind of the first craft cocktail bar, if you want to call it that, or classic cocktail bar. But basically a bar where we were doing what the guys in New York were doing. We're freezing, squeezing fresh juice every day. We're making our own bitters. We're making our own syrups. Just the classic sort of quality cocktail things that now every restaurant, if any restaurant that opens, they have to do it, right? It's insane if they wouldn't. And so now it's just kind of the standard. And so, yeah, in that way, 100 classic cocktail bars haven't opened, but every restaurant that's opened, every bar that's opened can make a decent cocktail. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, that has absolutely increased the competition.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they may not have the same thing you do where it's all the classics, the classic seminars, but their margarita is fresh lime juice, and it is a balanced margarita, maybe, and so
yeah, absolutely. They can make you an old fashioned. They can make you a Sazerac. They can make you a Manhattan, right? And they don't look at you like you've come from outer space when you ask for one,
like people used to. Yeah.
Exactly.
So you got into the world of bartending in kind of a roundabout way. Most people start off as servers and kind of progress into the bar. And you started off, as far as I understand, trading options, which is probably one of the more unique entry points that I've ever heard.
Yeah, roundabout is a good way to put it. I was an options trader in Chicago, and of course, there's the phenomenal, just closed really, I guess, last year, the phenomenal bar, the Violet Hour, which was helmed by Toby Maloney, who worked for Sasha Petrasky in New York at Milk and Honey, which I had been to Milk and Honey. So when Violet Hour opened and I was living in Chicago, I spent a lot of time there, and I adored the place, and I'd go in there all the time and pester these guys and say, "What's in that? What's in that? Why whatever." Mm-hmm. And so I sort of learned my quote unquote technique, if you will, without actually ever having bartended from those guys. And then I ended up stopping options trading, and I had a TV show with my brother James where we built motorcycles. We had a business, don't get me wrong, but then we had a TV show based on the business, and that left sort of a gap in my resume, shall we say. So instead of going back to options trading, I bought a bar here in Detroit next to a good restaurant that a friend of mine owned.
So you started the bar before you'd ever worked in a bar?
Not quite. I bought the bar. I bought the bar before I had ever worked in a bar. A different friend of mine had another bar called Ferran's Grand Trunk Pub, which is a phenomenal bar if you're ever in Detroit. It's downtown, the first bar in Woodward. It's the old railroad ticketing office, and he turned it into a bar. Well, somebody turned it into a bar 100 years ago. It's a beautiful place. And so I worked there for about 2 years while I was getting Sugar House off the ground because I figured I might as well bartend if I'm going to open a bar.
If you're going to be in charge of these bartenders in a bar, you might as well know.
Have some idea how the business works.
Thank you all for listening. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, go to servesyouRightPod.com. We have all the old episodes on there, and you can sign up for our newsletter and all sorts of other fun things. Glad you're listening. All right, back to it. Can you take us back to that moment? Because, I've heard statistically, if you get into and out of the bar business and you actually just didn't lose money, you did better than most. Like, did you have any second thoughts when it came to the bar? Like, how hard was it to take that leap?
Well, I came from a group. My parents were entrepreneurs. I've always come from a mentality of like, just start a new business. Let's just do it. So for me, like doing that wasn't a leap. I really knew that this was something that I could execute in Detroit. I knew that Detroit was ready for it. Obviously, again, 15 years ago, give or take, Detroit was a much smaller town. But I knew everybody. I knew the cuisine. I knew the market. I knew every single person that had a restaurant here. I knew most of the people going out. And I knew that this would be successful, and it was successful basically from day one. Not every other one of my businesses, mind you, bars, restaurants have been successful from day one, but this one was absolutely a hit.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and so I also was curious, why didn't you stop with the one? I feel like one is probably enough for a finite human.
Yeah.
And like, did you start day one planning like, all right, I'm going to get myself out of this business and be an owner versus a like operator? Yeah.
I'm flattered that you think that I have such foresight.
Stumble your way into it maybe is more accurate.
Yeah, more or less. I sort of, it's hard to, I should have probably stopped at number one, but no. My chef partner, my good friend was barfly, always around. His name is Mark, and he worked for Wolfgang Puck. He was one of Wolfgang Puck's original dishwashers at Spago, in I guess the 80s, in LA. And then he was around Detroit, and he was working at the Wolfgang Puck here in the casino. It was a very good restaurant. And he said, we should probably open something together. Let's open a little something. And then we sort of met with Dan Gilbert's crew, and we found this beautiful space, and we opened this restaurant called Wright and Company downtown on Woodward on the second floor. It's a really beautiful space, still open today. Mm-hmm. And so that was our second one. And then my third one was there was this bar we were always hanging out at called Honest John's. It's kind of a late night bar. And it's 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. every day. And I heard it was for sale. And I said, well, I love this bar. I'm in this bar all the time. I want to buy this bar. So I bought it on land contract. And then after that, we opened a molecular mixology bar in an alley because the owner of the building was like, I can't give this space away. It's going to be bicycle storage if you don't do something with it. So he gave me this crazy deal. So that was bad luck. And, it's just kind of gone that way for the last, 15 years. I'm not to mean that I don't take all these things seriously, but it's been a good clip. I mean, I've opened about a restaurant a year for the last 15 years. Not all are still open. Some I've sold, some I've closed, but our track record is pretty strong.
That's incredible. A restaurant a year for 15 years. Like,
yeah.
How
exhausting, incredibly exhausting.
I've only done it once, like the full on from the beginning, and it was only a renovation. And I mean, that was a slog because, you're showing up and they're renovating things. So there's construction all the time. And like all I was like the head bartender, and I was like putting together the drinks, and then I would help them, clean and organize things, but I'm not really construction. It's just like, I remember month after month, it was just dragging on. And like, God, like I wasn't even that involved and I was exhausted. So I can only imagine
Yeah.
if you were the one running it.
I mean, I'm also like the head carpenter, the head contractor, the plumber, the electrician.
Mm-hmm.
I do all of it. I mean, I with this last build, I literally did. I had one helper, and my brother helped for a little while. But I mean, I fabricated everything. I designed it. I built it. Yeah, it was a lot.
Presumably you like it on some level. I mean,
Yeah, no, I do.
I'm talking to you after like a recent one, so I'm sure there's an exhaustion element too. But
There's definitely an exhaustion element. We started this construction on March 2nd. We had a tiki bar, and the tiki bar was not doing well, multiple reasons. But anyway, we decided to close the tiki bar and rebrand it. And what was supposed to be a simple, let's just take down the tiki decor and clean it up a little bit, turned into what my family knows about me. I'm a psychopath. And so I basically, I got in there March 2nd, and I have been in there every day. I took 2 days off from March 2nd to Mother's Day, but I was literally in there every day, 10 to 12 hours. And then, until we opened, I've just been in there basically. So, no, like 7 days a week, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. It's been insane. But that's kind of my wheelhouse. I love it. I love working. I love conceptualizing. I love being in the space, figuring it out. I mean, everything, it all fascinates me. The ergonomics between being behind the bar, because I was a bartender. I still bartend up north at one of my properties every year. So everything from the ergonomics of how the equipment is laid out to the physical experience of the guests to what they're seeing to just all of it. I love it. It's just my favorite thing in the world.
yeah, no, and I mean, hearing you talk about that, one of the things that I've heard, and I bet you'd agree with this, is a lot of the reason there is such a high failure rate when it comes to restaurants and bars is because of the type of people who open restaurants and bars. But what I'm talking and hearing from you, like the obsession with just how everything goes, the amount of work you're willing to put in, like, does this work for the bartender? What's the guest experience? It's like, yeah, there's probably a reason your restaurants are doing decently. Like there are people that just kind of throw up like a taco stand sign and like hope for the best, and like those are usually the ones that don't last too long.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are a lot of people that just think like, oh, this is going to be a really easy way to, make some, they've got some other job. They're like, oh, this is an easy way to make money, whatever. Or it looks glamorous or it looks fun. I mean, it does look glamorous at times. It is fun at times, but, the by and large, it's a huge amount of work and you put a huge amount of capital at risk. So you got to take it seriously. I mean, I love it. I'm passionate about it. My team is really, I've got a group of people that have worked for me for 15 years almost. And so I keep them close, and that's really what it's all about,
No, that's awesome. I did want to ask, so first of all, I love the name Optimist Society. When did that come in? Is that kind of like your holdco for all the different things, or like?
Yeah,
Okay.
Detroit Optimist Society is sort of our it's sort of our quote unquote restaurant group name, but it doesn't. It's mainly like the thing that gives our key executives insurance. You know what I mean? If I'm honest,
Okay.
and like
Got it.
gives us a discount on workers' comp insurance because we can group and insurance at large because we can group some of the businesses together to get better premiums. It's not like right now we're redoing our website. It's not even really functional, and so we're sort of like it's mainly just been sort of something that has been easier, like I said, something to make it easier to communicate about better insurance, things like that, just so we can say we have a group. I wanted to call it Paranoid Asparagus, but my business partners thought that was stupid.
Oh my God,
So,
that's awesome.
Anyway, yeah.
Well, I did like the name Optimist Society. Did you come up with both, or was that like the response to Paranoid Asparagus?
Optimist Society I came up with because I needed something that we could say, like we were talking to a hotel group. They had a place in Miami, and my business partner was like, we can't say Paranoid Asparagus. And I was listening to like Tame Impala one day, and I was like, oh my God, I want a name like that. And so I came up with Paranoid Asparagus. Anyway, and my chef partner was like, we can't name a restaurant group that. So I sort of came up with Optimist Society as a response.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, I know.
No, that's awesome. That threw me for a loop. No, that's great. So I was going to ask too. One of the things that I've written down. What was kind of your experience when it came to making drinks? Because I'm thinking about the the Sugar House and the emphasis on classic cocktails. Did you ever branch out, kind of making your own things, or did you want to start classic just because you knew those would work? Like kind of how did you get into the world of mixology, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah. So I mean, Sugar House was modeled after, like I said, Violet Hour in Chicago, where they don't have, it's not like quote unquote molecular mixology. Like they've got all of the good syrups you want. They've got some great bitters, and then it's all just based on sort of the practical old school recipes. And so that's Sugar House's wheelhouse, right? Like, you want the best Manhattan in the city? We've got it. You want the best old fashioned? We've got it. We can make you a Ramos Gin Fizz. We can make you you name it, right? We can make whatever you want in terms of sort of the classics. And that's really what I wanted, and that's still sort of the goal of Sugar House is like, we have our original drinks, but we're very much rooted in the classics. So when you look at the menu, we reprint the menu 4 times a year. We have a new menu 4 times a year. It has 13 seasonal drinks that sort of fit that mandate, although this last one has gotten very weird, if I say so myself. But and then there's 101 classics. So to work at Sugar House, when I opened, I really wasn't a bartender. I had, like I said, I had bartended for a little while at this sort of shot and beer bar. But I had this list of 101 classics, and if you wanted to bartend there, you had to learn how to make these 101 classics using the techniques and the tools that I basically laid out, which were based on Dave Arnold's techniques and Dave Wandrich's sort of recipes and histories. And so I created this sort of formula or I guess a roadmap to become a bartender at Sugar House. And I didn't really hire any bartenders. When I was opening, I was sort of training one and working with a guy, and he and I were the first 2 bartenders for about a year. We started bringing people up, but it was a very slow process. We did have, right from the get-go, we had our own original menu, but it was like, again, it was 13 drinks. Every day I would change it, not 100%, but I'd change half of it, or I would change 75% of it, or I would get some really beautiful arugula and I'd turn it into a syrup from the market, or I'd get some carrots and I'd turn it into a syrup, or whatever, all this crazy stuff. And so, again, not having the experience of having worked in a cocktail bar before, I was like doing 7, 8 ingredient or 8 bottle touches on every drink. It was just totally, insane. And then eventually we got to the point where it was like, well, we need, we put out the 101 list, and we got a little bit more standardized on our cadence of putting the actual menu out, which now is quarterly. It just makes more sense, but it's great. I mean, the product is great. Every bartender there, if you work at Sugar House, I would say 400 drinks just off the top of your, just 400 drinks, no problem, without even having to look at the recipe, just because of the level of drinks that, the quantity of drinks we've put out.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, because that is always the biggest problem. Like, having done both sides of it, the management side and teaching and coaching, and also bartending for so many years, like, it is the good bartenders you work with when you're a bartender that know the drinks just like you do. It makes life so much easier, and vice versa. If you have that one shift where you're working with a guy who always forgets how to make XYZ, it's like, just you have to have kind of a baseline of knowledge just to do it. If you don't get that, I mean, what are you doing here? You're like this.
Yeah. And we have, I would say the Sugar House is, if you're a bartender at Sugar House, you're one of the better paid bartenders in the city of Detroit, because it's been it's at this point an institution. It's been there for a while. Every night is a solid shift. That Saturday is not necessarily better than Monday. So, you're making some decent money. So you really have to care if you want that shift. And the competition is fierce. And again, we're not hiring a bartender from down the street. If you're working at Sugar House, you're bar backing in the basement, and then you're bar backing upstairs, and then you're serving, and then you're taking your server test or your bartender test, and then you're on service well. And so it's a big deal. And so we're really still like home growing these bartenders. That's my joke. I love to say I've trained the best bartenders in the city of Detroit because, I train them all and then they go work somewhere else. But it's all right. I'm not there.
It's that whole classic, like, what if we invest in our employees and they leave? And it's like, well, what if we don't and they stay? It's like you're kind of you're screwed either way.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, I mean, I have wonderful former employees that work all over town, and I'm still I'm still tight with all of them. I mean, we've got a great crew, so
for sure. I really like that style of service too, because that's what we kind of do. We're very, very heavy wine because it's a steakhouse, middle of the country. Makes sense. Got to be a lot of Napa.
Sure.
But we almost exclusively hire people in as the serving assistants, like bussers or hosts, just to start, because it's like, okay, you're going to have to start and learn our systems, and then maybe you become a back waiter, then you become a waiter, then you become the bartender. It's like a very clear, laid out path, and I felt privileged when I started. I have some like quartermaster somm certification in my past.
Oh, great.
So I skipped server assistant, but I still had to do the server before I get to the bar, which, I like that the company kind of works that way. And, I've worked with places where it doesn't, and I've had fun at some of them, but there's a level of buy-in that you get from starting kind of from scratch that you can't replicate otherwise.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. It's also sort of a team building thing as well, because everybody knows, like, and at this point, I really don't do the hiring, but I would say I'll bring in somebody. This person looks good. We're going to hire him for, a probationary period of 2 weeks or a month. But you guys are the ones that are actually hiring them, because if you don't like, you're working with them. If you don't like them, vote them off the island. I don't care, And so we like mill the bar, the basement bar back. Like we've had 1,000 of them, but the ones that stay and can elevate, we've got a really good retention rate with, because they become bartenders eventually. And, it's a great, team building kind of thing as well.
Sure. Yeah. I'm thinking, a barback I had way back in the day, Winston Green. He's been on the show. He owns his own spot now. But
oh, cool!
My the bar manager who ended up leaving at the time, Forrest, he decided he didn't like this kid for some reason. I forget what it was, but he like run him through the ringer on a Friday night. Like there's all sorts of crazy stuff. He was stocking beer. You're like blah 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 blah. And at the end of the shift, he was like, "Okay, when do I come back?" And Forrest was like, "You're gonna come back?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, we can work with this kid." He ended up becoming a bartender, and now he owns his own spot in Santa Fe. But yeah, it's just
great.
If you stick it out, like, okay, come back.
You gotta appreciate the hustle. You gotta be able to be in the weeds and still have fun, and understand it, which is not for everybody.
Yeah, so many jobs, before you get to server bartender, like, in the hospitality space are very thankless. Like having the compassion for the people that are doing the dishes and clearing the tables and wiping things down, like doing those jobs gives you a level of compassion and understanding that just if you walk in, you don't get. It's like, okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, well said.
What's on the horizon for you? Are you already planning your next build, or?
Yeah, we have a project in the works. Typically, Memorial Day, my family and I go up north, and we have a spot up in Northport, in northern Michigan, where, of course, our dear friend Phil Green lives.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and that's how I know Phil from our spot up north. So typically, we're up there by Memorial Day. Our kids' school schedule has been a little weird this year, so we're staying until next week, and then we'll go up. So we'll spend the summer up north, where I will bartend every day and make ginger syrup and, just crazy stuff. But anyway, we've got a great business up there that keeps us busy. And then I'll come back, and in the fall, we're going to reopen our tiki bar, which we closed to open Trombone. We're going to reopen our tiki bar above one of our other bars called Last Chance. We have a 2-floor permit, and the second floor is not really being used. So we're going to reopen Mutiny above that, which is sort of in a more central Detroit location. I think it'll be really successful. And then we've got another project that we just sort of signed on for that I can't get into, but I am excited about. Yeah.
Awesome.
So it should be a busy fall.
That's you outlined like 2 or 3 years worth of work. We'll just knock it off in a couple of months.
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah. What is it about tiki that keeps drawing you back? Do you think it'll work or?
Yeah, well, I think that our location on the first tiki bar was in Southwest Detroit. It was a challenging area because really ever since COVID, it just kind of fell apart. A great restaurant next to us burned down. This sort of venue over by us stopped booking shows. It was just really, really difficult. But I find that like tiki is such an accessible thing. Like even if you're not into cocktails, you can go. Like Paul McGee told me this from Lost Lake. Like you can go into a tiki bar, and even if you don't know what an old fashioned is, you've seen a tiki drink before. Just because it's part of culture, Americana, whatever. And so I think it's accessible. It's a lot of fun. Our spot didn't make sense, I think, largely based on the location. So we're moving it sort of to a more central area in Corktown, which is sort of a busier little neighborhood in Detroit. And my business partner from Bad Luck, his name is Yanni. He's a very talented individual. He was my 3rd employee at Sugar House. Is gonna helm that, and so he's a very organized guy. He's great at drinks, so he's gonna take that off my plate and run that project for me. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
We should have some fun.
No, that's cool. You are right. Tiki is so fun, even if you aren't steeped in cocktail history. It's just like. You walk in, you found like it's fun, and the food is approachable, and it's like the drinks are easy to drink, and it is one of those things where like if you have people around, it should work. I wasn't sure if like maybe it just didn't hit with Detroit, but the location that makes sense.
Well, we were open for 9 years. We had a pretty good run. Okay. It's really just been since COVID. The location was really challenging. And, the thing about tiki is a lot of people get it. They love it. They don't want it every day. They want to go to a tiki bar once a month, or whatever. It's more of a special occasion kind of thing. And so we have this great 70s dive bar that I opened a couple of years ago called Last Chance in Corktown, which is where Sugar House is and our pizza shop, Grandma Bob's. Very, very busy area, and it's going to go on the 2nd floor, so it'll sort of be a complement to Last Chance, a different vibe, but, if you're there and Last Chance gets packed, we'll say, go upstairs, we're too busy here, go upstairs, have a tiki drink, it's a different vibe. Complimentary, though, because they're both kind of a throwback sort of vibe. So I think it'll be more successful. It should be really fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. I am curious because you brought it up and kind of circled around it a couple of times. What was COVID like for you?
Yeah, it was a challenge. I mean, obviously it was a challenge for everybody. I laid off 250 employees on my birthday.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was kind of nuts. There were, good things and bad things about it. I mean, obviously not excluding the actual pandemic itself, but I just mean in terms of like the business impact, we stripped way down. I lost a layer of management that I didn't really need, or at least wasn't really worth it for me, which I've not yet really hired back, and that's been a benefit. But also, I mean, it was just it was a crazy time. We managed to keep all of our businesses open. I had one business. I was opening a restaurant that was going to be like a sort of charcuterie wine bar, and I had a sister business running USDA-approved charcuterie manufacturer called Gratiot Avenue Provisions, and we were actually making sausage, doing all this crazy stuff.
Fully vertically integrated. Yeah,
yeah, that was kind of the idea. There was a beautiful bar in San Francisco. I believe it's closed, and now I'm spacing on the name. I just had it on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, wonderful bar in San Francisco where they were doing all of their own charcuterie, beautiful wine program. And so that was sort of my model for this. We were going to do, all the charcuterie ourselves, really invest in the wine program. And then we got about halfway through the build out and it just pandemic hit and it was like, well, this is not, we just couldn't do it. I couldn't get it across the finish line. So that was sort of the one casualty for our business of COVID. But I managed to keep all of my managers intact, the people that really were important to me, stayed with me. And so our business, and again, I have a lot of business partners. I'm not trying to make it sound like it's all me. I have a ton of wonderful business partners, but we managed to sort of keep it all together. And so, yeah, it was obviously a rough couple of years, but we made through it. We also own a bunch of our property, like our physical property.
Oh, that helps a lot.
Yeah, which is unique to Detroit. Like I couldn't, that's why people ask me why I do in Detroit. And I'm like, well, I'm from here, but I couldn't do this in New York or, Chicago. I mean, you can't own, you can't buy a building in New York. It's insane. Like, you'd never be able to do it.
Yeah. Unless you have like generational wealth or something. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm sure someone could, but not my dumbass, But anyway, owning our buildings here gave us a lot more flexibility in terms of keeping things open.
Yeah, that is wild. Everyone has their own COVID stories, but I can only imagine, because most people that I've talked to, and most of the people I interact with, they're the front line, worried about the family, worried if they're going to get sick, worried about their jobs. But having those like 250 people on your mind, and actually these businesses that are providing for all these other families, like that's. Like I shudder to just picture it in myself.
Yeah. Well, it was heavy. I mean, we didn't, obviously when it happened, nobody really knew what was happening, like what really the long term was going to be. And, our payroll is like 50 grand, was at least at that point, like 50 grand every 2 weeks. And I was like, we can't, this is bad. Like it looked like it was going to be a shutdown for like a week. And I was like, if it's worse than this, we're in real trouble. By which I mean I'm in real trouble, like I got to cover this payroll one way or another. And so I made that hard decision, which turned out to be the right decision at the time because, we were able to bring people back as soon as possible and it didn't collapse everything that I've built. But, it was definitely a difficult decision for sure.
No, I still remember because, with this company, I eventually progressed to where I'm running one of their restaurants. But at that time of COVID, I was filling in as the kitchen manager as a temporary thing. And I still remember working this shift and using the restroom. They have TVs in the restroom, and they always play sports in the men's restroom there. And I saw the, like, all sports canceled. Or, like, I forget exactly what it said. I was just like, holy shit. That was the first time I was like, oh, I don't think I'm going to be at work next week. And then,
this is a thing, isn't it? Yeah.
And my temporary kitchen management, where I was only supposed to be there for a couple of weeks, turned into like a 2.5 year thing because we came back slowly, and it's like, well, we're not hiring anyone else, and like you can do it. Can you?
Sure.
Like on my resume, it's the weirdest thing. It's like all bartending, all like wine stuff, all that, and then also like 2 years where I like ran a steakhouse. It's like I didn't mean to during COVID. I just kind of like it was magical. Like the music stopped and I ended up sitting in the chair. So
yeah, no, I get it. I mean, I was like at Sugar House, we have a really robust cocktail class program. So we have 2 or 3 cocktail classes a month, and this is 22 to 25 people every other Saturday, basically coming in, spending $130 to come in, and we have this built out. This is part of our thing. We have this built out, and a couple months in advance. And so when COVID happened, I had to cancel obviously all these classes, and I had like an insane amount of money to refund to people. And I just, fortunately, we have such a great following and a great loyal customer base. I sent them an email. And I said, listen, we can't afford to refund you all your money. Also, we will resume the classes at some point in the future. Just bear with us. Everybody was totally cool. And so once the restrictions started lifting a little bit, every Saturday, I personally would do a cocktail class with as many people as I could fit from like the list of people that had already paid. And so it was a really odd experience that I was all of a sudden back again behind the bar, pretty much alone. I'd have a bar back, but doing the classes, making the drinks, it was a really funny experience. But
Making
I
it up
enjoyed
to all these people that let you hold on to their money for a little while.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh man,
great people. Yeah, it was wild.
If you could go back to before you bought the bar, is there any advice you'd give yourself? I know a lot of people listening are bartenders thinking like, should I go into this? Should I start my own spot? Like,
yeah, I mean, personally, I have a lot that I would say to my past self, but I think that
don't we all? Yes.
Yeah, for the sake of anybody who's listening to this, I think that the most important thing that I didn't really understand, and it's been something that it's taken me a long time to learn, was when I'm opening a spot, or if you're going to open a spot, make sure your money is there. Like, make sure you're, like I said, I build everything out. I do so much of the work myself. I mean, I will bring in somebody that needs to put the air conditioning unit on the roof, things like that. But I do the bulk of the work myself. And you would think that I have a very good understanding of costs. And I do not. I have never been on time with the budget. I've never been close, like in terms of money or time, I'm always off. And so what that has, taught me is I'm always scrambling to be like, oh, I need another 50 grand, I need another 100 grand, whatever it is, to get across the finish line. It's caused me in the past to make decisions like, well, let's just do that later. Let's just get open. And that has cost me more money than anything else, because had I had the foresight and the planning and had my budget where it should be, I would have been better off, because I'm constantly for a long time, I was constantly in a situation where I had to close the business to fix something that was a Band-Aid that I should have addressed in the beginning, or whatever. I mean, the floor that I said I can fix that later is finally caving in, and now I have to close the bar for 2 weeks in August.
Is now something I have to deal with. Yes,
exactly. Yeah. So I'm just I've learned to when I'm opening a place, really spend the time, make sure that I'm not neglecting anything, because those things that you say, well, I'll deal with that later, I guarantee you they're going to come back and bite you.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, two things to that. Like, I'm sure Tobin Ellis, or at least have seen him around. But
of course,
one of the big things he kind of said, and I totally agree with this. When you're opening a new spot, like, the time before you actually open to the public is the only time you will get. Like, the second you open, your time is all of a sudden everyone else's, your employees, your guests, the vendors. Like, it's literally the only time you'll be able to do these things that need to be done. So, like, take your time, invest the money, do the things that you need to do, and you won't regret it. Even though, like, everyone is always stressed. Like, again, I've only had the one, like, full where we're closed and trying to open, but, like, every meeting with the owners and the investors is like, when are we going to be open? When is this going to get, everyone wants that money to start flowing, which understandable.
Yeah.
Take too long, you won't open at all. But
yeah, well, that's so true though, because like I'm constantly in this state of, as for example, right now, I spent like 70 days working on this thing nonstop, 10, 12 hours a day at least. And then I open, and then now I'm there. And so like I spent all my energy to get this place open, and then now I have an open business, which I need to be at, So it's just this sort of insanely exhausting process. I'm kind of used to it, frankly. I know that's an insane thing to say, but I'm actually, I've gotten used to the weird hours. But that's a great point. Like you're not opening it is the hard part, and then having it open is the harder part, So it's like, it's just a lot. It's just a lot.
Well, it's like you're a new parent and you focus all your energy on baby proofing the house. It's like, if you think that this is the hard part, just wait a little bit. You'll find out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well said. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The other thing is, like, if you have any doubt about the costs rising, like, go in any city in the U.S. and go to like a restaurant depot, like any of your like bulk restaurant stores, and look at the price of any of the equipment. Like those little bitty reach-in fridges, like the $1,000 price tags. It's like, how does anyone open up a bar unless you have just an ungodly amount of money?
Yeah, no, I mean, it is, listen, I opened Sugar House for $110,000. I had somebody did the electric, somebody did the plumbing, the mechanical was good enough for the existing mechanical for the building, and I did all the carpentry, and it was $110,000. I bought used equipment, which I've had to replace since. Obviously, used equipment is horrible, but that was like an insane. For me, I was like, oh my god, this is so much money. This is incredible. Now we spend 5 times that on a bar that's a quarter time, half the size. It's just insane how much everything, how expensive everything has gotten. And again, the trades since the pandemic, the plumbers are crazy, the electricians are crazy. Just like it's just gotten so expensive. It's so difficult. So yeah, you really need to make sure that you're into the concept that you're going to open because
yeah. I mean, just. The funny thing is, I think someone listening to this conversation would say, oh my God, maybe I shouldn't open that spot. And obviously there are, enough people out there who should not open spots. Like if you aren't prepared to invest the money, if you aren't prepared to invest the time to think through things, to work your ass off, like maybe this isn't the plan for you. Maybe just like do something a little easier. I do think that there is there are certain people who should open spots. Like you are a great example. I think there are people that have a passion for this sort of thing, or actually, see that there's something missing in the world and can provide it. Like, I don't think that it's all bad. I don't think that we should sugarcoat the difficulty of it, but I think
I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. Absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do this because I love it.
Yeah.
I open new properties because I love it. I love the people I work with. I love the experience I love creating the guest experience of them walking into some place and being like, oh my God, this is so cool. Or look at that or whatever. That's what does it for me. Right. That's the reason I do it. And anybody that feels that way, I would say, this is for you. If you have the passion to create something, whether it's a drink, whether it's a dish, whether it's an experience for someone else to enjoy, then this is for you. Like, pursue that opportunity. If anybody is looking at it thinking like, oh, this is an easy way to make some money, I am sorry, my friend, you are wrong.
It's the old joke, and I'm more wine centered these days than anything.
Sure.
But the best way to make a small fortune in a winery is to start off with a large one. It's like,
absolutely.
Yep. Yeah.
That's absolutely true.
Oh, cool. Before we wrap things up today, is there anything that you wish we had covered? Anything that we missed that we'd be remiss to leave out?
I don't think so. I feel pretty good. I feel like we've covered most of the stuff. Yeah. I love talking about the passion of the business.
Heck yeah. Well, thank you, Dave, for coming on. Where should someone who's listening at home, where should they go to find out more about you and the things you do?
So my Instagram is Captain McBoozy. Captain McBoozy.
It is, for sure. Yes.
Which is my personal Instagram. They can also look up Detroit Optimist Society, which is our restaurant group in Detroit. That sort of, at least the Instagram covers sort of all of our properties and the happenings with our businesses. Sugar House is our big business in Detroit. If anybody's ever visiting Detroit, go to Sugar House and they will point you in the right direction of where you should, stay, eat, sleep, drink, that kind of thing.
That's awesome. Yeah. And, I'm so grateful that Phil Green had a last word twist from you and, led to us talking online and, getting to meet you today. So it was a real pleasure.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure. Absolutely. Phil's a great guy. I love him and nice to chat with you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening. That is today's episode. Now, if you have not taken a moment to check out our website, please do. It's servesyouRightPod.com. We have past episodes and all sorts of other things there. If you want to get in touch with me, that's the place to do it. I do appreciate that you've given me your most valuable asset, your time and attention. So thank you for listening. And stay tuned. We have some really cool guests coming up. I would hate it if you missed it. Cheers.